Welcome to Mrs. Kegel's kindergarten class. Tomorrow we start the first day of kindergarten. I wanted to give you a few tips on how to make your day flow really well. One of the hardest things in kindergarten is how to manage children while you're going to be working with small groups. I start training them on the first day. Let's take a look at the centers I've got set up and how I'll introduce them. This is one of my centers, letters and sounds. I've got all the materials here, and then I've got some activities for those children who are going to finish early. I'm not actually going to send children to the centers the first couple weeks of school, but I am going to start introducing them even the first day. I've left my students' names up from the previous year because it's going to take me about 2 weeks to assess my students and figure out which groups they're going to be in. I have a simple checklist with all the letters. I'll be checking to see which letters the children know, which sounds, and then if they know their letters and sounds, I may even start doing sight words and some numbers to see where they're at. What I'm going to do once I've assessed my children is I'm going to make a table on Microsoft Word or Publisher, anything that will let me do a table. I have 18 students, so I'm going to divide my children into 3 groups of 6. My table is going to have 6 columns and 3 rows. My groups are going to be the giraffes, the tigers, and the zebras. In each column, I'm going to take 1 giraffe, that's going to go in the first square. Then in the second column, first row, I'm going to put the second giraffe, and so on. Because I have 6 children and there's only 5 days in a week, I may partner 2 children together. That will allow me to have 5 centers in 5 days, and I'll show you that as we move through the centers. So when I would introduce the center, I would say, boys and girls, this is the letter and sound center. When you come over here, you'll find all the materials you need right here. When your name is here, this will be your center. I have a document camera in my room, so I would take the materials over to the document camera. I might pass the materials out to the children, and then we would work through it together. When we're done with that center, everything gets returned. I then would call on a student to model how they would take a puzzle or an extension activity and sit and do it. I might even call 2 or 3 children to model the correct behavior. If there's materials like markers or glue, I want to introduce those. Everything from how you take off a cap, how you put it on, how you open and close glue. We're going to go through everything that this center is involved on day 1. Let's take a look now at my second center. My second center is rhyming. Now you'll notice the first center was letters and sounds. That's going to continue for probably the first 9 weeks of school. It may even continue throughout the year. I might do at the beginning specific letter sounds. Then I might move into beginning sounds, middle sounds, end sounds, putting sounds together. Same thing with the rhyming. Rhyming is on our first 9 weeks report card skill, so rhyming is going to be a big part of our curriculum. Every week I'm going to have cards and I'm going to have a paper. It's going to look very similar, but the materials are going to change. Now I've set something up in my room that you might think about doing. Whenever my children finish their work, they have a few options. Of course, we have technology. We have Kindle tablets and laptops. They can choose to do that. We also have a reading center. I've got a Chicka Chicka Boom Boom reading center area where they can select a book and sit over there or take a book to their seat. Another thing that I've done is I've set up these little tubs, and I want to show you that. So I visited some different thrift stores, flea markets, even things other teachers were giving away. And I created these tubs with the materials. So each tub has a theme. In each tub, for example, this is my Ocean Life tub. I have coloring books. Sometimes I pick them up at the Dollar Tree. I have books, and then I have some type of manipulative. And here I have these little stackers where they can create coral reefs, and I have some little fish, plastic fish in here that they can make a reef. Here's another example. I have an insect tub. Again, I've got books, I've got little sorting leaves, and then I've got some plastic insects. So they're sort of like a STEM bucket, but I've got books, some type of manipulative, and then on the cover, the front of it, what I've done is I've made a little label. I put a graphic depicting what is inside. So for example, for the ocean one, I've got a coral reef and a fish. For the farm bucket, I've got a picture of a farm, etc. Then I also put my job helpers. So each bucket has some type of a helper. One of those jobs is the tub mover. So at the end of the day, it's super easy if you have cubbies. You just take the first tub off, then you slide them all down. When they come in the next day, they have a new activity tub and they have a new job assignment. So I'll start introducing that the first day also. The Rhyming Center, that's my extension activity. They can come get their tub. Let's take a look quickly at some of the other centers I've got set up in my room. Over here I've got my writing and vocabulary. Of course, at the beginning of kindergarten, they're just going to draw. And again, each day, this will be day 3, I'm just going to take the materials over to my document camera. We're going to work through them all together, introduce the supplies. This is an example of how I put 2 children together. So the way I've structured my room is I have 5 centers. The centers are going to stay the same. This is always going to be the writing and vocabulary center, but the activities will change each week. At the end of the day, another one of my job assignments, one child's going to take this and it just moves to the next center. So this one would come over here, this one would go to the next center, and so far. So that way every child has a different center each day. My other centers include the alphabet center. My extensions there, I've got Play-Doh, and at Walmart I found some cute little letter stampers so they can do that. And then my last center is my WordWork Center. So let's go over and look at the WordWork Center. Sometimes I do have children that come into kindergarten and already are starting to read. So I've got the beginning of the year, we're going to really be focusing on the letters. We're going to do 2 weeks of introduction with nursery rhymes. Then we're going to go through 26 days with 26 letters. And after that, we're going to move into word families. I've already got my word families up here for those children that are advanced. The rest of the children are going to be working on name building, and I've got in here I've got strips with the children's names. I'm going to alternate my materials. Some weeks I may have letter stampers, some weeks I may have magnetic letters, but over here we're going to practice building words. Initially, it's going to be copying words like the school name, teachers in the school, like the PE teacher, art, music, their classroom, friends, their own name. Then eventually it's going to go into true word building where they're building word families, they're changing out beginning sounds, end sounds, and learning different spelling. I may even put some sight words over here for them to practice building those. But it's always going to be some type of word building. That's really the key to make centers work in kindergarten, is to keep things consistent. You want your kids to be independent. You want to train them, model the behavior, model, 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 and then reinforce. Thank you for coming and visiting my classroom. I hope you got some good ideas from the tips I've given you.